Hey, what's up? It's Jules with Courtside with Jules. If you are a player who wants to get better, if you are a coach and or a trainer who is an avid skill development coach, make sure you check this video out to ensure that your players are getting the biggest improvement in the smallest amount of time. Let's go. Hey, what's up? Welcome back. This is Jules with Courtside with Jules and Shoot Like a Girl Basketball. Today, I'm going to be giving you a video on how to set up and structure a skills workout, whether you are a player, whether you are a coach or a trainer, so that you absolutely ensure that you as a player or that the player that you're training or working out is going to improve and it's going to show up in games, right? One of the worst things we can do, in my opinion, is have workouts, have skill sets, have skill sessions, have training sessions where the player isn't necessarily getting better at a pace or a speed that's going to show up in their games. We want to be focused a lot on the product. What is the outcome of the training session or the skill session or the workout or the practice? And that is improvement. And the better you structure the workouts, and I've used this formula for a long time, and I've had incredible improvement with players who've played for me or players who I've merely trained or worked out. So I'm going to take you through my formula, the process that I use, and I hope it helps. So the first thing that we do, and I'll just name this step one, is you can't treat every player the same. Not every player is going to need the same skill set. Not every player is going to see the same situations, especially as they get up to higher levels of play, right? You get into high school, you get into junior college, or even professional. They're going to see specific actions based on the coaching that they're going to receive. So, the first thing that you need to do as a trainer or as a coach is understand and find out which of those actions for their skill set and for their position that they are going to see most often. We want that player, we want you as a player to be very good at the actions, at the skills that you're going to need, that you're going to see most often. The second step is that you want to break down that action that they're going to see into specific skills. It's much easier for a player to consume and assimilate smaller skills which build up to a larger skill set or a larger action, right? So you start with the major action or the major skill set that you're going to be working on that day, and you break down, okay, so how which skills are they going to use or are they going to need in order to complete that large action. Step 3 would be to break down those skills into micro skills, right? So if we take the idea that, like you're going to see later in this video, I have players who are going to be working off of curling off of a screen and getting into one or two dribble actions into scoring, right? So they're going to be shooting off the dribble. So you have the major skill of a curling off of a screen progression, right? What are the reads? What are the different things that I'm going to do as I curl off the screen? So then I have one of those skills is they're going to be shooting off the dribble. So then I'm going to take that skill, shooting off the dribble, and I'm going to break it down into micro skills. And you'll see exactly how I do that. And again, this is my formula. It's worked for me. It's allowed me to take time out of improvement, right? We have the 10,000 hour rule, which I think is you're wasting a lot of time. You're not training right. You're not drilling correctly. If you think it takes you 10,000 hours in order to be competent and confidence at a skill, you're going to need a very long time. So then step 4 would be start with the micro skills, right? And then build up to the major skills. Start with the footwork of shooting off the dribble. Then what do they do with the ball? Then how do they get it to their shot pocket? And then how do they shoot it? And someone can say, "Oh, I don't need to do that. That's going to take too long." I promise you, And at every level where I've worked at a player, whether they're professional, whether they're Division 1 athletes, whether they're junior college or high school athletes, if they are struggling with something, it's not more reps that's needed. It's that you have to cut back the gradient or break down that skill into another micro skill because they've missed something, they don't understand something, and then build it back up. So if you just start with that and you rep it out and you get them to understand the why and they have confidence in their abilities to do that, you're going to take the amount of time out of it's going to take for them to be able to confidently and competently perform that skill. Otherwise, you're just going to be adding to the time. And it doesn't need to take the individual, you don't have to spend 20 minutes on each micro skill. You just need to get to a point where they can do it. And they're going to continue to do it as you build up those micro skills. So the next step I think is really important. And as I've seen youth basketball, high school basketball progress at the college level, not so much. This idea and this concept has really gone away. You have to let players be beginners in learning new skills and gradually build them up to game speed. I can't tell you how many practices that I've been in, how many skill sessions that I've been in that a coach or a trainer is going to shows the player this brand new skill set or is going to add complexity or difficulty to it, and the player makes a mistake and bam, they hammer them, right? They criticize them, they get on them, they get angry with them. That's not building the player up. That's not allowing them to make mistakes. Anytime we're working with players, we're training players, you have to have an environment where it's okay for them to make mistakes. You want them making mistakes. It means that they're coming out of old habits. They're becoming aware of things that they were not aware of before, right? So you have to let players be beginners and you have to be patient in those times. You just acknowledge the good points, ignore the mistakes, little corrections, and allow them to fix. And when you create an environment like that, you'd be surprised how much quicker they're able to correct, they're able to learn and take it up to game speed. Step 6, and I see this step missed again a lot in training sessions and in practices, is you have to put that specific action that you just worked on into game situations. Not a full game, not great. We worked on curling off the screen, now we're going to play 5-on-5 or 3-on-3. So they just learned how to curl off the screen and basically, I call it dummy running, meaning there's no defense on them, how to go through those different reads, not how to observe those reads because you haven't put a defender on them. So putting it into a game situation is simply adding a defender and giving that defender parameters on what they can and cannot do. And they understand that their job right now is to teach the offense what to do. That's it. Not to stop them, not to be the best defender right now. But again, you have to allow that offensive player to be a beginner now with a defender on them. And again, it does not have to take a long time. And the offensive player will relax and they'll just simply observe and and allow themselves to go through that skill set. Step 7, and again, I touched on this briefly, is you have to allow for mistakes when you enter a new element into the drill, right? And um, to me, sometimes I get surprised and I have to pull myself back a little bit and just be patient, but realize that when you now add a defender on them, they're now going to fumble through. Now suddenly they can't dribble between their legs. Now suddenly they can't have the proper footwork to shoot off the dribble. And you just pointed out, hey, you're missing this part. Hey, when you shoot off the dribble, now you're hopping instead of 1-2 stepping. And just their attention suddenly moves from what they should be doing to the defender, and they kind of lose track of what their body is doing. So again, be patient, allow for mistakes. Don't hit them hard, don't hammer them, don't degrade them. Just continue to build them up, continue to allow them to, again, have those mistakes. Having mistakes, again, is a good thing in these situations. They're getting out of comfort zones, they're trying new things. Maybe they're performing it at a higher pace, which is closer to game speed than they have previously. Good. So step 8 is, again, continuing in this game situation, whatever that is at that time. Maybe you just added a defender, one defender, until they get through their mistakes and they can do it now with confidence. They don't have to be perfect at it, but they can do it with confidence, right? You can't just teach one thing one time and put someone in a game situation and never go back to it in a practice or training situation and think that they're going to be proficient at it. That's just stupidity. That's just the unknowingness of how to teach and how to learn. And that's unfair to the player. And step 9, and I think one of the most important pieces, is to validate the rightnesses in the player no matter what. They screw the whole thing up, but they dribbled it really well with their offhand. You validate it. Yeah, you made a mistake, but great left hand dribble. Yeah, you missed the shot, but great read. That's the right idea. That's the right pace. Validate rightnesses, build their confidence. I think, again, you'd be surprised at, when you validate their rightnesses, how everything around them or all of their skill sets tend to get better because you're building their confidence, right? They feel better about themselves. They feel like they can now do more. Leave the critical coaching at home. There is a difference between being critical and correcting. You can correct without being critical. You can correct without degrading. And I think somehow and suddenly, and this will be for a future video, but we have taken correction and moved it to degradation. So in this video, I'm going to take you through my micro skills that lead to major skills. Obviously, what's left out is a lot of reps, some specific coaching that I do. I do leave the drill on a one-on-one basis. If this was a full practice for me, or if I had more players, I would then take that skill and put it into a 2-on-2 situation, a 3-on-3 situation, potentially a 5-on-5 half court situation, and then play 5-on-5 live, limiting the number of possessions, but making them start with that action. And for me, that's how I have found where I've gotten the biggest improvement in the smallest amount of time.
All right. As you saw, number of micro skills, which led up to major skills. You saw some mistakes, you saw some coaching points. And again, this is what's worked for me over the years. You can use whatever micro skills you want. You can use whatever major skills you want, but I highly recommend that you're teaching things and that you're going over things that that player is going to see in a game, and a lot of times in a game, not just one time, not just maybe, not just because they're playing for a coach who doesn't allow them to do that. Make them good, make them the best they can be where they are at, and then continue to improve. And as they move up levels, they may get more freedoms. They're going to have different coaching styles that will allow them to grow their skill set. Again, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Check out my website at www.courtsidewithjules, where you can also find all the Shoot Like a Girl merchandise. Let's go.